Following the release of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, Games Workshop are pulling a bold move and doing a preview online with no 40k whatsoever. I know what you're thinking. How could they do it? Would they dare do it? Well, clearly, yes, because that's exactly what they're doing. They've even called it the Not Warhammer 40,000 preview. I'm not making that up, by the way. It's right there. And they even have the little no Primaris Lieutenants allowed, which is honestly quite a nice touch. I like that. That's pretty funny. And in that preview, we are going to see Warhammer Age of Sigmar. We're going to see the Horus Heresy, Warcry, the Old World, and Underworlds. I have to admit, I'm really quite excited about this preview, because whilst I do like me a bit of 40k, I also have a massive thing for Games Workshop's fantasy models. I love a lot of their, I say fantasy range, obviously Age of Sigmar for the most part, but we do have a lot of cool stuff incoming with the Old World, and we also have the refresh of the Cities of Sigmar range for Age of Sigmar, which is something that I've really been enjoying so far. In fact, I've even found myself kind of warming up to the lad on lad that we talked about last week. I wasn't sure initially, something about it didn't quite sit right, but it's one of those ones where it's just grown on me. It's just grown on me. The more I've looked at it, the more I've kind of gone back and kind of gone over it again, the more I've thought, actually, maybe it is the right kind of silly. Maybe I was just being too harsh. Maybe actually I can cope with a bit more silly in my Age of Sigmar models. I mean, let's face it, there is quite a bit in there to begin with, and I thought maybe I'd kind of had enough, but no, I actually quite like it. To be honest, my main hope for this preview is, in some ways, actually not something that I want to see, but I do really want to see it, but I also don't want to see it. It's one of those monkey's paw situations, right? I love the Steam Tank. The Steam Tank is absolutely fantastic. It is a brilliant model. I want it. I love it. It's also horrifically expensive for how old the kit is. It is ancient. It's extremely old, and it's like 45 quid or something for one tank. They're not even big models, and that's a problem, because I really want to do a big Steam Tank army, and I would like at least a couple of actual Steam Tanks in there. See, I've got all the parts to make all the others. They just won't be Steam tanks. They'll be upside down Caradron Overlord frigates and the like, because I've collected quite a few of those over the last few years, and my dreams of running a armoured company in Age of Sigmar will be realised, just not using only Steam tanks, because oh my god, they are such bad value. Even when you look at how much Games Workshop charges for other stuff, the Steam Tank is a catastrophically bad value proposition for me personally. It's just so old, and it shouldn't be as expensive as it is, and I can't even swallow the price of a Land Raider now because of how bad that's got. It's got to the point where the new Horus Heresy version of the Land Raider makes more sense to buy than the actual old school Land Raider because it's cheaper. Why? Dunno. But there you go. What I really want is a new Steam Tank. A new updated Steam Tank. A bit chunkier, a bit bigger, a bit thicker. Just something that's like all of what the old Steam Tank was, but updated, better details, maybe a bit more fancy armour, just basically brought in line with all the stuff that they've shown off of the Cities of Sigmar so far. I would absolutely love a new Steam Tank. But we all know that if there's a new Steam Tank, it's going to cost more than the current one, and I don't want none of that. At the very least, if it stayed the same price, I would be able to cope with it a little bit more, but it's very much a tempered thing, where it's like, on the one hand, yes please, I would like to buy this right now. On the other hand, don't charge more for it, pretty please? Maybe? You make a wish, new Steam Tank. The wish is granted, but the paw curls and it costs more than the old one did. And the old one was already horribly expensive. I can see it happening. I'm pretty sure you can see it happening. In a perfect world, the price would not change, but we'd get something new and shiny. But that seems incredibly unlikely, which is why I both really want it and definitely don't want it at the same time. Old World-wise, frankly, if they keep showing me Bretonnian stuff, I'm going to be happy. That's pretty much as far as that goes. I want more Bretonnian stuff. I want to see Bretonnians make a wonderful, glorious comeback. I want them to have all the stuff, because Bretonnians are fantastic and we love them. And that is pretty much it. Ever since they showed off that kind of Bretonnian kind of questing knight a little while ago, I've just wanted to see more. Just more of that. More of it, pretty please. In fact, the only thing I would like more than that, actually, no, there is one thing I'd like more than that. if they said, okay, Tomb Kings, we're just bringing back a bunch of the old kits because quite a few of them were absolutely solid. They were great, and they still look great, and they've barely aged. If they just brought back a load of the plastic kits, the newer ones that just looked fantastic, then that'll make me super happy. Because frankly, I want to kit bash the hell out of some nice, old, but not old Tomb King stuff. But at the same time, I'm not scouring eBay to get Tomb King, like rare out of production Tomb Kings kits to just mangle and mess about with when it's not an army that I technically really play. I would much prefer them to just start making them again so that people can buy them, because that'd be nice. And it looks like they are going to do a bit of Tomb Kings focusing going on. So I mean, really, would it be that bad? Would it really make that much of a difference to them to just take some of the larger, more fun kits and just make them available again? I don't think so, but then I don't work for Games Workshop, and I don't know how their inventory system works, so it could be that that is never going to happen. But, I mean, I can dream, right? I can dream. I think we're all allowed to dream about Tomb Kings once in a while. Horus Heresy-wise, I will take the Derrideo Dreadnought. I'll have that straight away, yes please. And also, if they could just announce the other like, Cerastus Knight chassis options, like if we could have the Acheron as well, and whatever the other one is. We've got the Lancer if we want the Acheron as well, and what is the third one? There's another one, I can't remember what it's called. That'll occur to me probably well after this video has gone up in any capacity, because that's usually how these things work. I could just look it up. I'm gonna look it up. Okay, the Horus Heresy, we then want armies we want Mechanicum, and we want the Questoris Knights. I mean, if they announced an Asterius and a poor firing in plastic, that would be hilarious, but that seems very unlikely. Okay, so we've got the Acheron, the Castigator. That's it. I knew there was another one, I just don't remember what it was. Yeah, so the Lancer, the Castigator, the Acheron, they've already announced the Lancer, and they all share the same chassis. Admittedly, when you look at the shoulder pads, they're a little bit different. I mean, not that different, really. The overall structure's the same, it's just that a couple of them have got extra bits over the top of them. So it does make a lot of sense for them to have every version of those. So, yes please. Nothing like a little bit of on-the-fly research there. Finally, when it comes to Underworlds and Warcry, I don't really have any particular want or desire out of that. I just want them to keep making them, because generally speaking, the Warcry warbands are pretty much all brilliant. Now, there might be some that are more brilliant than others, there might be some that I like a little bit more than others, but generally speaking, when it comes to Warcry warbands, they absolutely smash it pretty much every single time. I'm still having to tell myself not to get the Jade Obelisk guys, because I don't have time to paint those in between all the other things that I'm trying to paint right now. They are very, like, at the end of the list of things that I need to get done, because I don't technically need them, but on the other hand, they look absolutely fantastic. Same with the Rotmire Creed ones as well, they look brilliant. I mean, Warcry as a whole has just got some great models, some great warbands. I just want to see what they do with it more than anything else. And to be honest, the same goes for Underworlds. Underworlds I've found to be a bit more hit and miss. There have been a few where I've just not really felt what they've gone for. They've just been like, okay, that's kind of cool, maybe a bit disappointing. The one that comes to mind as being disappointing being the guy who has got, like, the zombies and stuff, and he was built up as this, like, he was so crazy and out of control that even the other freaks of nature didn't want anything to do with him. And then the warband was shown, and it was a guy with a big arm and a dude with a stick, and that was like the whole thing. And it was just so lackluster for what the actual background for the dude was that I just couldn't quite get round to liking it. But I would also argue that for every one of those boxes where it's a bit underwhelming and not quite what I'd go for, there's also a vampire warband that is just rammed full of absolutely brilliant sculpts, or witch hunters, or, I mean, the list goes on. Underworlds has got some fantastic models, so I just kind of want to see what they do with it next, because 50% of the time, what they do with it is something that I really, really want. Now, I don't even know if any of that counts as predictions. What I do know is that I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing what they come out with, and I always do with these previews. Some of them can be a bit lackluster. Sometimes it can feel like it's hyped up far more than it actually needs to be for what's being shown off, but there's always at least like one thing that blows me away, generally because funnily enough, by this point, they tend to be pretty good at making like miniatures and stuff, and given that I'm mostly in it for the plastic these days, I think there's going to be something in there to tickle the fancy, to moisten the oyster, if you will. Although if you've any decency, you probably will not. Anyway, what are your predictions for this? Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything you're particularly looking forward to, anything that you feel they might show off, anything that you really, really want to see. Don't forget that if you want to see videos like this 24 hours early, then you can do by joining me on YouTube Members or over on Patreon. There are links to both in the description. Not compulsory, just a suggestion, that's all. Feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.